As parents, there's always something to do and seemingly never enough time in which to do it. And we found through a few years of parenting just a couple hacks or tips that have helped us to maximize our time and spend our time more intentionally, and we hope this video be a help to you. You've probably heard the quote, if you don't fill your calendar, someone else will. And we've certainly found that to be true, and you probably have as well. And we decided that we would rather live our lives intentional than just busy. And we started at the beginning of the year time blocking some time for things that were very important to us and filling our calendar before it would just get filled with all the busyness of life. So this is just kind of like a bonus tip at the beginning. That is, maybe at the beginning of the year, maybe even just right now through the end of the year, you'll want to time block some time for you and your spouse to have a getaway together, or for you and your family to take a vacation together. Because if you don't fill your calendar, someone else will.
Time-saving tip number 1, front loading. What is front loading? For us, what that looks like is at the beginning of each week, I am asking him, what does your week look like? And I can tell him what my week looks like. And he tells me, Monday, this is going on. Tuesday, this is going on. Wednesday, we go to church, and I can remind him, someone invited us here, there's a game here, and we get to both look at the week.
Yeah, and you're probably asking yourself, well, how does that save you any time? Well, it saves us both time and frustration, because, man, so many times before we started doing this, we would get to Thursday and I'm like, oh, well, I have a game, or I gotta be here. And you're like, wait, well, you didn't tell me that. Well, what about the kids, or what do I mean? And then we're both frustrated at each other, and things don't go smoothly, and we end up wasting time worrying or being frustrated at each other. And so front loading has really been a game changer for us. Another thing that front loading helps us do is to delegate, to partner together, to help each other. Maybe there's something that I hate doing. I hate calling people on the phone. And so I'll have her make a phone call or two for me that'll help save me some time, but fill up her schedule. But she doesn't mind doing that. And then there are things that she needs done either around the house or fixed up, and I can partner with her. And it saves time and can help us just come together at the beginning of the week. And that is number 1, front loading. Number 2, make a list. There are some people who are against it. I've always just enjoyed making just a good old-fashioned list, and I know she does too. And hopefully you're there with us. Time-saving tip number 2 has been just making a list.
So for me, I like to make a list for the week. So I'll start with the list for the week of what I want to accomplish that week. How do I want to be intentional with my time? And then I can make a list for my day, which I'll do a list for my day the night before. So I'm not thinking about it first thing in the morning and the kids are already awake. So I'll make a list the night before, and then from that I make a top 3. I have to be realistic that I probably am not going to do all the things that are on my list, but if I have a top 3, I can focus on those 3 things. So then the next day I'm doing these things. Maybe I'm doing them while the kids are awake, maybe I'm not, maybe we've been gone all day, but I know in my mind I have top 3 things to do today. Let's see if I can do them. So for me, usually I like to do them during nap time. So because I've been with the kids all day, I know I have usually an hour, maybe 2, during nap time that I can do these things on my list. So here's another time hack that I have found, and that's timers. Just blocking time and setting timers next to each thing that I want to do. So here's an example. So I know I have an hour while the kids are sleeping that I can do some things on my list. And the top 3 are definitely on there, but on there maybe are also watering my flowers. That needs to get done every day. Prepping for dinner, or getting a workout in, reading a book, whatever that list looks like, I'll write things down and I'll put a time next to each thing. And what that does is that helps me be realistic. If I add all those things up and it's like 3 hours, I am not getting those things done. And I'm gonna be discouraged if I don't get those things done. So I have to knock some things out. So if I add that up and it adds up to an hour, then I can do it. And that prevents me from dilly-dallying. I'm not gonna sit on my phone and check Instagram. I'm not going to text someone back right away or check Snapchat. I'm just gonna do the things on my timer. And I'll even set the timers. I'll set 10 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes and I'll get to work. Because if I don't do that, I'll get distracted. And sometimes we have more time than we think, but sometimes if we have 30 minutes and we think, I only have 30 minutes, I'm just gonna not do the list. And that should not be. We're not using our time wisely we're not using our time wisely if we're just sitting around not doing the things that we're supposed to be doing. Something that I also have to remind myself is that people are more important than lists. We're talking about lists and how to be efficient, but we can't forget that sometimes people need us. And for me, I mean, that's my kids. If my kids wake up, I'm not gonna be like, no, I have to do my list. I'm not gonna ignore them. Or if my husband calls me, or if my husband needs something.
Just say no to me.
No.
She's done it. She goes,
If my husband needs me, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing. And people are more important than things, or than lists. People are more important than lists. My husband is more important than this list. I'm not locked down to this list, but I should still try to accomplish the things I need to accomplish.
Before we go on to number 3, why don't you go ahead and like that video, and then don't forget to subscribe. We don't want you to miss out on any future videos. And if you feel led to, why don't you share it with somebody that you think would find this video helpful. Number 3, the OneTouch Rule. Now, maybe you've never heard of this before, and I hadn't up until a couple years ago, but I love maximizing my time, being as efficient as possible, and I love this OneTouch Rule. So here is the OneTouch Rule. You only touch things one time. You don't set something down only to know, well, in 30 minutes I'm gonna have to pick that thing back up and go put it over here because that's actually where it belongs. If something needs to get thrown away right in this moment, don't set it here and then 30 minutes later have to come touch it again and then actually go throw it away. Or like dirty clothes, I'm not just gonna leave them on the ground because I know eventually they're gonna have to go in the laundry basket. I'm gonna actually do it right there in that moment. A dirty plate, something I'm not gonna actually just go set it on the counter to know 20 minutes later I'm gonna end up having to touch that plate again and go put it away. That OneTouch Rule, I just like it. It's easy to remember, and sometimes I'll just like catch myself like trying to just like be a little bit lazy and not actually just go through and just finish the job. But that OneTouch Rule has helped me a lot. Another thing that maybe is not as extreme as the OneTouch Rule is if it's gonna take less than 2 minutes, just do it right now. If the garbage is overflowing and you can just take it out in less than 2 minutes, just take it out real quick so it stops causing a problem and you can just kind of pause other things. If it takes less than 2 minutes, make that phone call, shoot that text message, and just things that are gonna help you maximize your time. If you can do it in less than 2 minutes, just do it right now. It doesn't need to go on a list. It doesn't need to, I mean, sometimes I like putting it on a list just so I can cross it off, and some of you are probably there, but if it takes less than 2 minutes, just try to do it right away. Number 4, in order to have the best day today, it actually starts for us the night before. And so to save time today, I actually got set up for that last night. Like I knew I was going to the gym, I knew I was coming to work, and I didn't have to get ready for those things this morning. I actually got ready for them last night and set out my gym clothes, made my pre-workout, my protein, got all those things ready. For her, it's like setting out the kids' clothes for the next day or getting their snacks ready for the next day so that you can wake up in the morning and boom, you hit the ground running. You don't have to spend the first hour of today getting ready for today. It's already ready, so you can just kind of hit the ground running. I challenge you to get ready for the day the night before.
Number 5, when it comes to saving time, we need the Lord's help.
Psalms 90 says, so teach us to number our days that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom. And how foolish would we be to try to get all this done in our own strength, in our own wisdom. And we need the Lord's help. If we're gonna make our life successful, if we're gonna make our life truly matter, if we're gonna be intentional with the time that He has given us, we need His help.
Yeah, something that really helps me if I know I'm gonna have a busy day, if I know I'm gonna have a busy week, I'm asking the Lord first thing in the morning, Lord, please multiply my time, maximize my efforts, help these things to go smoothly. I need His help if I'm gonna be trying to do all these things He wants to help me.
A couple extra things as we wrap up here towards the end. She likes to do all her lists on her iPad, and sometimes so do I. GoodNotes is the app that we use on our iPad. I also like to use the app called Asana, Asana, and that helps me see my list, be able to check off my list. It syncs with my laptop, my iPad, my phone. That's a big plus too.
Yeah, and a bonus tip for when you're making a list, something that helps me is doing the hard things first. So many times we want to do the easy stuff or the stuff that's going to take the least amount of time. If you do the hard things first, then it gets easier.
As parents, unfortunately, one of the things we spend a lot of our time doing is being frustrated at our children. We made this video to help with that. We'll see you over there.